Hello there, Vlad here. Welcome to my studio. Today we're checking out the NUX Mighty Space amplifier. I was about to call it a practice amp, but it does so much that I'm not sure if you can label it kind of just that. First of all, there's a wireless dongle that it comes with, so you can actually play wirelessly between your instrument and the amp. That's one, but then also this thing has a rechargeable battery built in, and it gives you up to 7 hours of playing time. And the amp comes with this nice carrying handle and it weighs about 4 kilos or so. This amp also comes packed with different connectivity options on the backside of the amp. First of all, there's obviously the power supply input, but then there's 2 foot switch inputs for you to be able to control the looper and the drum machine. And the thing actually ships with an additional foot switch. And I'm pretty sure I got this cable with the amp as well. So it actually ships with the cables too. Besides the foot switch, there's also the USB-C port, which allows you to first of all connect the amp to your computer and use the editor there. But it also allows you to record whatever's happening on the amp into your DAW. There's a volume control for the Bluetooth audio as well. And then there's something that I haven't seen on other amps in this category. There's the speak out, and you can actually use this thing as a real amp head. I think it gives out roughly 30 watts of power. So you can actually drive like a really decent sized cabinet with it. And then there's also phones out and aux in connections as well. There's 3 ways you can actually use this amplifier. First of all, starting with the control panel over here. And you can do some tweaking and settings over here, which is nice. But to get really into the whole thing and kind of be able to program all of these 7 presets that you can save to this button over here, you'll have to dive into deeper, and for that you can use either a desktop editor on Mac or PC, or you can use your iDevices or Android devices to do that as well. For deeper editing, connecting your Mighty Space amp to the computer is very simple. Just run a USB cable into the computer. If you're using Windows, you'll need to download some drivers, and no matter whether you're using Windows or Mac, you need to download the Mighty Editor app as well. To connect the Mighty Space to your phone or your tablet device, be sure to download the Mighty Amp app at your relevant app store. And when you launch the app, the first thing is to go to the settings tab at the bottom and select the device that you want to connect to. But in order to stream backing tracks, for example, through the amp, you also need to go to your Bluetooth settings on your wireless device and then again select Mighty Space. So kind of do like a double connection to the thing, and once that's done, you're good to go. And before you ask, the key difference between the mobile editor and the desktop editor is the fact that only on the desktop editor you're able to add your custom IRs into the amp, and it kind of gives you the most detailed tweaking with all the EQ curves and such. But in order to use drum machine or backing tracks or anything like that, you actually have to use your tablet or your phone device. So those are the key differences. Alright, I feel I've talked so much that I think it's time to grab a guitar over the wall. We're gonna go full Sterling today because we're gonna use the Sterling JP150 here, and then we're gonna try this thing out with a bass as well, which is a Sterling. What's that bass? Stingray. So we're gonna go full Sterling here. This video is in no way sponsored by Sterling, but I just happen to like the instruments. Alright, but let's get going. I'm going to grab this. And as you notice, no sound yet because by default this is muted. So you plug this into your guitar and then there's a little button on the side and you turn the plug on. We're good to go. For us to hear anything, we need to click the wireless button over here. And for practical reasons, I'm using the USB out in stereo so we can actually hear what's going on. I didn't feel like miking up this cabinet would in any way represent how it's going to sound in the room, so this just made sense. We are on preset number 1. It sounds like that. So we got a compressor going on, K-Comp, Jazz Clean amplifier, Jazz Clean IR as well. And then there's a little bit of spring reverb going on as well. So with right click of the mouse, you can enable, disable this. And actually, if you take a look at the mobile app, anything I do on the desktop editor is reflected on the mobile app as well, which is really cool. And I can obviously move these around as we're kind of used to with all the digital modelers nowadays. And depending what kind of effect and stuff that you're using, obviously these change quite a lot. Let's go with shimmer. Let's go crazy with the mix. Nice. Moving on to the next presets, we're not going to say if anything. AC30. But I have to apologize, I'm running out of cameras, so you won't be seeing me playing that much. You can just focus on the sounds. And one interesting thing they've added here is actually acoustic IRs as well. So this is a D45. Is it? I think that's the Martin guitar, right? But now I think it's time to jump to the mobile app because you can do so much more with it. Actually, while shooting this video, I realized that the USB-C out on the amp puts on just the guitar sound, not the jam tracks or the drummer. So what I'm going to do here is actually use the microphone that you see in front of my face and kind of use that for the overall sound. You almost kind of get to hear what I'm hearing in the studio. So the looper does what you think a looper does, but I'll be using my hands, so this won't be like perfect transitions. If we jump to the next tab, there's actually Bluetooth settings, and this allows you to kind of EQ the incoming Bluetooth signal. So for example, let's say I'm playing a backing track into the amp, but there's a lot of low end in that backing track. I can actually EQ that out. And this works really well because this way you're not kind of overwhelming the amplifier with low frequencies, for example, and you'll be actually able to hear your guitar and the backing track as you want it to be. You can even like do a phase flip and things like that. Really cool touch from NUX. Jump tracks, we kind of heard that at the beginning of the thing. Let's just jump to this a little bit more and use this microphone so you can hear roughly how it sounds in the room. I think you get the idea, and I have to say the backing tracks, especially the artist ones, are actually really good in here. And you can also upload your own, and as you can see, I have actually a bunch of kind of training tracks for the Dream Theater's Overture 1928, a song that I've been learning for the past 15 years or so, and I plan to actually get it right at some point in the near future. When I was demoing the NUX MP3, so the Mighty Plug Pro, I'd really like the ability to actually upload your own custom IRs to it. I think the IRs this comes with are very decent, but I want to try out how one of my favorite IRs would change the sound, if there would even be any. So I took this preset that I've been using throughout the demo. And this is using a Rectify 4x12 cabinet, and I actually uploaded one of my own custom IRs, or one of the custom IRs I've been using. This is by Lancaster Audio, it's a Rev V30 cabinet. Here's the cabinet it comes with. And I haven't tried this out yet. Oh, hoo, hoo. And once again with that rectifier cap. This is actually not bad, but this is next. Let's try this amplifier with the bass. Alright, I have my bass going on. I already chose the amp SV212 preset, and let's make sure that we're using actually like a, oh, looks like when I select that, it actually chooses a bass IR as well. Okay, I like that. Let's try out something else. 4x10. Again, sounds good. I'm actually going to disable the speakers and give you an honest review of how this sounds through this little box over here. Now, obviously, it's not going to reproduce all the frequencies. My monitors think cap at 50 Hz. This probably caps a bit earlier, but it sounds good. Like, it's fun to practice with the bass. Like, I even remember using the Mighty Air, the kind of small version of this amp, the stereo amp. And even with that, it was fun to play. And obviously, this can do lower frequencies than that, and it works. For practice, it works, though. Feel like this unit is maybe a bit more aimed for guitar player than a bass player, I would say. Overall, I have to say the NUX Mighty Space packs a ridiculous amount of features, and the good thing is like those features are actually good and useful. The amp itself sounds good, it's fun to practice, it's fun to jam to different tracks and stuff like that. You can use the looper, you can use the drum machine, and overall, once you figure out a thing or two here and there, I think it's easy to use as well. When it comes to listening music through the Mighty Space, I feel it's not the best solution if you want to have a Bluetooth speaker, But then again, I feel it's really well optimized for especially guitar frequencies, and guitar sound good. There's absolutely no noticeable latency when I'm playing, and you kind of get that amp and guitar interaction. It's a fantastic tool for that kind of stuff. It just works and feels great to play, and that's probably the most important thing. And actually something that I don't always get here in my studio, having like an amp next to me just works. And the fact that you can actually use this as a real head, and you can foot switch the channels and stuff like that, really cool. I could see some people actually using this on a small gig as well. And I didn't even try this with an acoustic guitar. I think you could do that as well, and using some acoustic Rs and stuff like that. I also have to say that NUX has a really kind of cool range of these different practice amplifiers, where you can go with just like a little plug that looks like a wireless unit and plug in your headphones there and have a jam. Or you can have like really small mono amplifiers, you can have a smaller stereo amplifier, or you can go for the big one, which is the MightySpace. So no matter what kind of practice and jamming solution you're going for, they pretty much have it. And I'm actually going to drop links in the description to those affiliate links, and using them won't cost you anything extra, but helps to keep things running here in the Cat Pick Studios land. If you got any questions, be sure to ask those down below in the comments, and hit the subscribe button, like button, hit all the buttons on the screen, and good things will happen. Thanks so much for watching. I shall see you next time.